good number for you?
And 26 is a great number because
it's a lucky number. It's a lucky number.
It is a lucky number. So here we are, folks. Wood, Air, and Metal, number 26. We got Mr. Tim Mirth down below me from my perspective, and that's all that counts because that's what I'm looking at. And the infamous guitar doctor, wizard of the neck. Good Lord. Neil Zaza. I tried to say Neil and neck at the same time, and it came out.
Good to be here, guys. I appreciate it.
Oh, thanks for being here. That reminded me, Adam, when you said that. Neil, you might have to tell us what's the craziest way anyone said your name before.
You know, it's so funny that you say that because I think the name is simple, right?
Yeah.
It's Zaza. How do you misspell that, right? Or how do you, it is what it is. You know, it's not shortened. You know, my father would tell you, it's not shortened. It's Zaza over from Italy and stuff. But man, maybe not as much saying it, but like writing it. Like there's always the dreaded space between Za and Za.
Oh yeah.
There's always the capital Z, small a, capital Z, small a, and then there's the ZSA, or ZZ. Like, it's
what is it, like TSA? You ever get something like that, like the Jaja kind of thing?
Yeah, there's so many derivations of. They just try to make it more difficult than it is, but it is what it is. So.
Oh, it's all fun and games until you get your name printed the wrong way.
That's right. Listen, and I'm not knocking anyone with the last name of Smith, but for what I do, I'm glad I was born with this last name, right? Just because, love it or hate it, people seem to remember it, or so.
Oh, totally. Especially when you got an electric guitar part of it, that always helps. So.
Right. Exactly.
So let's start with your totally typical interview questions. How did you get started playing guitar?
Honestly, I wasn't. The humor story I was saying, well, I wanted girls back in the day, in high school because I wasn't athletic, and like all the guitar players I see, you guys are like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. But the truth be told, I always loved music. And I always, really felt a kinship in music. But what really got me started, really lit the fire under me is, and I tell the story all the time, which is I heard Van Halen 1. I remember the exact place I was. I was in the back seat of one of my buddies' brothers was driving, and we were going somewhere. He had like a 72 Cutlass Supreme, and he puts in, Van Halen 1, and I'm just, some junior high kid or whatever, and I hear, and literally, and I'm not even joking, try to dramatize this, that changed my life, hearing, and so from that moment on, it literally was life changing. I'm playing guitar. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know what, but the electricity, the energy, the sheer testosterone, everything about that, those first chords of Running with the Devil, man, you got to be kidding me. There's no, I've never been a druggie. I'm like a straight edge, but I can't imagine there's any drug in the world as great as those first chords were for a young, impressionable lad like me, hearing Running with the Devil. I mean, that was and then how many years later, here I am, still chasing it because of those chords. So,
So about how old were you then?
I don't know. I was probably 14, 15, something like that.
Did you play any piano or in the band, high school band, or any of that kind of stuff? Did you have any other things going on?
No, I wanted, I started, lessons at the YMCA, Mel Bay Book 1 and all that, right, we all do.
Sure.
I only got, it's Mel Bay Book 1 is the blue book, and it goes to the green book, and then I don't know.
Has anyone actually, I always wondered, has anyone ever made it to Mel Book 8, volume 8 or whatever?
I don't know. Right, I know the last book is gray. It's like this mystical gray because no one gets to it. But I started at the YMCA and learned how to read, and doing, learning like Sweet Home Alabama or More Than a Feeling or something like that. And, from there I would just learn tunes, but that's where I actually started, is just, I just love music, and I wanted to play songs of the day, and from there it just developed,
So did you do it, like, when you were learning the songs, was it, like, obviously you had a little bit of time at the YMCA, but were you doing more stuff just predominantly, like, sitting there with a turntable and your guitar figuring it out by ear, or how would you say, like, you were getting those tunes of the day?
Yeah, that's a really great question, Adam. It really was the stereotypical mid to late 1970s, where like you had the record or the 45, and then you had the record player that was in the living room, and kids don't know this these days, but it was like 16, 33, and 45, right? So
yep.
Now you got the record, you put it on 16, and it slows it down, and you're like, okay, what is that riff? So I remember with like a lot of the Van Halen records, like, how did he? What was the tap? What's the sequence of that? Or like then you're like, I can't hear it, still too fast. Okay, now we got to get the 45 and slow it down to 16. I know the pitch goes way crazy, but then you start listening. So I did learn a lot by I had to by ear, because as you guys know, back in the day, there was no you can't go online, or even the era before where we're at now, there was no guitar for the practicing musician that you could go to and get the latest tabs of something.
Sure.
Like you had to work it out. So, not to be that old man, it used to be in my day, but it really helped out.
Yeah.
I don't know if, I'm not saying kids these days don't have the ear. I'm just saying that's all we had.
Right.
So.
Exactly. Well, like, literally, our last podcast was talking exactly about that, like ear training and so on, and throwing people into the deep end of the pool with just use your ear. Like, we were talking about Michael Jackson and how he used to write stuff, where it was just him, his voice, and a 4-track, coming up with all the stuff, singing that, organizing it, and walking in the studio and be like, here's this chord, da da da, and having them play it, and then like organizing it, type of thing. So that, clearly that was tremendously helpful, because you're where you are right now with that training with that. So between, like, you started around 14, which is where I started around. And Tim, you started at what, like 10,
like
11?
10, 11.
Yeah. So, and then, like, from that, how much time did you put in, like, at the beginning till, like, let's see, your first, I hate to use the words, like, big break, but, like, when you started recording or something like that?
Wait. Can we back up a second?
Yeah.
So you started learning at the Y and all those kind of things, and you probably, did you start bands and stuff too? Like, were you playing in, like, bands in high school, middle school? Like,
I was playing in bands, and in fact, Tim, let me get back real quick to, I just remembered your initial question. Was I in band in school or anything like that? And I have to say, I've been scarred, and I need therapy for it, because I still hold a real effing grudge for it, which is I always wanted to be in, like, stage band in junior high and high school, but the requirement was to be in stage band, you had to play another instrument in band, like trumpet or drums.
Oh, right. Yes.
Like, I only play guitar. Like, can I play? Can I know the chords? And so they never let me in stage band. And I'm still pissed to this very day.
Right. We'll find that teacher.
Bring him on.
So as far as bands, so we would, a big band for me back in the day was the Cars. Okay, so like my first big, I mean, if we're really gonna dredge down that road, my first big public performance was the talent show in like '78 or something at Nordonia Junior High, and we did the Cars medley. So we did Just What I Needed, and Good Friends Roll, and Best Friends Girl, and so like we just learned it by ear and played it. And so yeah, I always loved playing in bands and going to rehearsals, and going to the garage and cranking up and getting the cops called on us, and just typical dumb stuff, so.
Cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, and I guess so going on to Adam's question.
Yeah,
then.
to rephrase that question. So, I guess you could sum it up with how much did you practice to get to like up to? I don't want to say like the big break to where you kind of like established yourself. Was it like, that's all that you would do? Like I'm assuming you're probably obsessed like the rest of us, where it was just like, what, like social life? No, I have to practice. Or I'm just going to practice. Like, oh wait, I was supposed to go out. Oh well, type of thing.
No, that's exactly right. And I think we all share that DNA, that lineage of that, which is, we all individually became obsessed with the guitar and music. So I practiced every minute that I could. We get home from school, we practice all night, all weekend. We're at school and we're sitting at the desk. And maybe we're supposed to, where it's, and I'm reading Guitar Player magazine in my folder. It's in my folder. Like maybe some dudes had like Penthouse or something, but I had like Guitar Player magazine. And then like I had a crappy job being a phone solicitor, right, for basement waterproofing. But like I had Guitar Player magazine out, and I was like looking at all the MXR effects that I was going to buy with the money from this nasty job. Like it was always, everything was always funneled into this one vision, which is just play the guitar. So yeah, listen, did I go out a lot? No. Did I have a social life? No. Was I socially stunted probably at that age? Hell yeah. You're awkward as it is in your early mid-teens, and like I had no interest in going out drinking or like I just want to play guitar. That's all that mattered to me,
Yeah.
And today, even today, it's still the same thing. Like I rarely go out. I'd rather be working in my studio, writing music. I'm sure as just you guys too. Like this is what we do. This is who we are, So.
Yep. Take a break for what? Like why? Why break?
I have to tell you, like, because like this is what we do. I consider myself a workaholic with this stuff. There's nothing else I want to do. I want to work 10, 12 hours a day, right? So it drives me crazy. I'm sorry, I'm airing some pet peeves early on in the podcast,
safe company.
But, people go like, why don't you just get away, take a break. Let's go, let's do this. And they don't understand that, like, you think I'm stressed now, or I'm focused, right? Take me away for 2 days and I will be unbearable, because I may be miserable. I say miserable with air quotes, of course. I may be miserable working all day, mixing or doing whatever I'm doing, but at least I'm doing it. At least I'm alleviating that pressure, right? But come on, why don't you just put it away for step away? Oh my God! Like, so there's always there's always an understanding that people don't have. Like, no, the torture is the cure.
Mm-hmm.
That it's the same thing. So
Adam, we were talking about that because we both went on vacations recently, and it's like, but we can't go on vacation without a guitar. Like, it'd be miserable for our families if we went if we didn't bring a guitar. Like I know we need to chill and like, but you can't get to that place because you're just like, I know I need to be working on this or working on that, or it's never ending.
So it's really
exactly.
cool because my girlfriend Teresa, she's a singer. So like now this upcoming weekend, she's at the island singing, right? But she understands me 100%. So like I bring my guitar, I bring my laptop because I'm going to do some Guitar Pro transcriptions and start learning stuff for One Dark Night for this year. But like I'll work all day, and then she'll go do her show, and I'll see you when you get home, honey, love you. Like, and I'm like, I just work all day. So even when we take the ferry over to Put-in Bay, like I'm getting ready to get to work. I'm excited. Like I have the day in the room with the laptop and the guitar, and I have a little practice amp, and I get like, I'm working. So like that
Yeah.
is relaxing for me. So, you know.
I hear you.
Yep. I mean, we had a debate, like not a fight, but my wife and I had a debate about taking my guitar on the honeymoon. Like, should we? Should we not? Should
And so what was the answer?
The answer is I left it home. I was smart. It's like I was smart with that one. So
lose the battle, win the war.
That's right.
to an extent, yep. So, and that, like, this past vacation, it was like, I can't go without a guitar. I just can't. I can't do it anymore. It's not, I get too irritable. I need the outlet. I need to, because all I can see, and obviously we can all commiserate, all I can see is that the goal is now further away and further away. And all that work that I could have gone towards my creating something is like, and that's just frustrating. It's like, I gotta get it out of me. Let me just do this work, and then everything's happy. And so it was this past vacation, I would practice, everybody would be up in the morning. They'd all go to the beach. I'd sit down, practice for a couple hours, and then go join them at the breeze. And it was a lot of fun. It was great. But if I didn't have that couple of hours, I would have been like, what do I do?
No, and it may not even be, like for you, you're practicing for some performances and stuff. For me, on this record, so I'm working on production, or I'm doing strings, or I'm doing, like, there's always work to do, and so I always laugh when the stereotypical musician, like, I want to be a musician, I want to hang out, grow my hair long, meet chicks, drink a lot. Like, man, it is the real musicians. It is so not about any of that. We've seen the memes, what they think I do,
Right.
what I really do.
Yeah, yep.
It's so true. So,
Oh, like you wouldn't believe. This is the way that it goes. So with that, let's talk about Sing. That's your first official album, right?
I had two records before Sing. I had my very, very first one was Two Hands, One Heart, and it was I almost don't even consider that a record. It might have been like a demo. It doesn't even sound like me. It was my.
That's a term no one uses anymore. Have you noticed that? No one uses the term demo anymore. It's like it's gone.
Yeah.
Because everyone
they just release whatever they make. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. I never thought about it until just
really
now.
True.
Yeah.
Or like pre-production. Are you kidding? Like, you just do it and then maybe you fix it, but it could all end up being released. So,
Anyway, I cut you off, but I was like, man, I haven't really thought of the term demo in forever. No one really thinks like that much anymore.
But it's interesting, not to get on a tangent, but you would prepare to go in a big studio, but
right.
Now really how we do things, like, look at where we're all sitting. It's our studio. We can get everything done that we need. So, everything. I realize though when I record, everything could be usable. So I always try to play the best I can, because then maybe I don't have to replay it down the road or something. But,
so,
all right, so I cut you off. Continue.
Yeah. So first record, I'll say record, was Two Hands, One Heart, kind of a Neanderthal effort. It's really an amalgamation of, like, everyone that I was listening to at the time that I didn't sound like them, and I paled greatly in comparison. Like, who was I listening to, man? Tony McAlpine, or like all the Shrapnel guys, So that was that. And then the next one I did, my next record after that was Thrills and Chills, and I went down to San Antonio, Texas, and I worked with he was a pop artist and a great producer, Michael Morales. And that's where things started turning for me. Like, he showed me I needed that education. Like, hey man, you're out of tune. And he said, once you hear tuning, it'll always drive you crazy. Or, like, I brought a demo of like some of the songs I want to do for the record, and very very political. He's like, this is great, this is cool. All right, well, let's try to do a record where it doesn't sound like a guitar player wrote it. So, like let's try to write some songs is what he was saying. And it was amazing because that's what I needed to learn. That was the education. No one showed me that stuff. So that was Thrills and Chills. And then the next one was Sing. And then that's where things started to kind of elevate for me a little bit.
So were those working bands at that point too, or was that mostly just you writing stuff and then working with friends and whatever?
Good question. That was just me writing, and then we would use different guys, whoever was around, or if I had the band at the time. Mm-hmm. The next CD after Sing is where I really got into the template, and I started using really good players. So the next record after Sing was Staring at the Sun, and then I started taking everything I learned from like the Thrills and Chills era and some of the Sing stuff, and then I really started writing more songs, less shred fest crap, and then on that record I had Steve Smith and Ross Valerie from Journey,
bunch of bums
playing on it, and so then that's where the modern day Neil, if I could say that, started really. That was like ground zero. Like that other
I
stuff.
think that's when I first had heard about you. I think Sing was already out, and then this Staring at the Sun is that's what it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that coming out. So I must have heard about you like right around that time that was happening.
Yeah. And this is right when the instrumental guitar was kind of peaking, what was that, like late 80s? Something like that?
Late 80s. Of course, I was late to that dance. So, like that I was just too late to catch that wave. So, like I see a lot of guys that had great success in that time period. It still maintains because they had such a great integration into everything from that time. But it's okay. Listen, everyone has their own pace and their own time that they, you can't rush who you are and when you find out who you are, so it just takes time, and it's on your own schedule, not anyone else's. So, it's okay time wise. So
cool. Very cool. Now, were you doing with all your concerts? It was just strict solo guitar. Just that was I'll just use a terminology, though I hate to. That's how you kind of marketed yourself, as the solo electric guitar thing, or did you have like a singer at times to kind of pad stuff? Like what during the earlier years?
Yeah. Once I embarked on the instrumental side of things, which was early 90s, I never looked back. Like I always. My joke I still make to this very day. Like people say, "Hey man, where's your lead singer? Where's the whole guitar? This is my lead singer." So I never wanted to deal with it. I never wanted once I made the decision to what I wanted to do, then I never did pad anything with it. Listen, for an encore, when I have someone come out and sing a tune and we do a Hendrix tune or some barn burner tune, yeah, maybe, but the show was always what it was, which was just guitar and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, when we saw you at the doing the one Dark Night, the first one you did 2 years ago, you did Sweet Dreams Are Made of These. So that was pretty wild. That was one way to bring down the house with that. That was great.
So but in that we're and I say it in a complimentary way, we're musos, right? So we love to hear music and we love to hear the intricacies, and we not only like the music, but we look at the craft of it and how's he playing and what's the sound, and there's all kind of elements that we can attach to. But the average Joe Sixpack, sometimes they're like they need a singer or something to bring them back. So even in my shows to this very day, up until what we're going to do on Thursday, I realized that, you could only bend the and I say it in a nice way, the Joe Sixpack ear, the everyday listener, 3-4 tunes, let's throw Take on Me in, but the instrumental ripping version, and then a little bit more. Let's do Highway Star, and a little bit. So, especially with, One Dark Night that you mentioned, like that's heavy, like high intake music. Like there's a lot of stuff. So you got to give them a little sugar in there to like, okay, cool. I know that song. Right. Cool. So, yeah.
Very cool.
So you did learn something over the years. No,
no, I did, because you could see when people, like the ebb and flow of the energy of a show, right? So you're playing and they're like, yeah, I'm into this, and doing a few high up-tempo numbers, do a ballad, they're like, cool. And then you see like this haze starts happening, and they're like, I'm loving it. It's just really cool. Yeah, I like it. Do I need a beer? Do I have to go to the bathroom? And then you go, bam, and that's when you hit them with something, Yeah, so sure. You got to reel them back in. So, and that really is, not to go off on a tangent, but, instrumental music is an interesting beast, because is instrumental music for instrumentalists? Like, would average people go to see something, a high intensity instrumental stuff? Like, someone gave me an example one time, like, who goes to see Kenny G? And it is a funny question, but like, I did at one point, but like, it's your mom, it's the secretary, it's your school teacher, right? Like normal everyday people, like musos probably wouldn't go see Kenny G, but instrumental music works if it's tailored a little bit towards mass consumption in that way. I just find it interesting.
Yeah.
Like,
so yeah, yes. Why does he get people, but then other things don't? Right. Yeah. It's interesting.
I don't know. I don't know the answer, but I just posed the question. So
I saw Pat Metheny, and he was playing with he did a double bill. It was him and, why am I blanking on the other guy's name? It was just a couple years ago, but he was a singer, songwriter, pretty popular guy, and I'm from the 80s, 90s. Anyway, the other guy went first. Pat Metheny was the headliner, and it was his group with like, gosh, I'm really blanking on everyone's name. But anyway, his Unity band group with Chris Potter and all those guys. So it's just like killing band.
Right.
But I was the first guy sang. So like the whole audience, like they were into it, and they heard the whole thing, and even though Pat was the headliner, like people started leaving because like it was all instrumental, and they just couldn't take that much music. And I noticed too for myself, like you were talking about musicians, like I don't think I heard one word the other guy said. Like it didn't compute to me because I was hearing the music that was playing.
Right.
So when he was singing, like all the like jokes and stuff and the lyrics and whatever, like I didn't hear any of it. I just realized I actually couldn't hear it. It was really fascinating to me because I was paying too much attention to everything else. So I kind of missed it. And then I noticed that the other people probably didn't hear all the music, but they did hear the words. So it's kind of a fascinating experience.
You bring up a really good point, because I always say, like, let's go real heavy, right? Let's go, right? I'm not making fun of the style of music at all, but you don't know what they're saying at all, correct? No one understands what they're saying, and so, but people, it's a voice, but people deem that more listenable than we'll say Pat Metheny, because you used him as an example.
Yeah, sure.
But I find that so crazy because it's like percussive, and it's you don't understand. There's no one that's, but yet it gets a higher echelon of interest because it's a vocal tune. Does that mean you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it is. It's fascinating. It's all fascinating. Yeah, it's like you almost get just having like one word, even like maybe you didn't hear any other words, but you got like two of the words, and that's like enough to like bring the human thing in or something. I don't know. It's fascinating.
It's insane.
Yeah, one of
No,
the things
it's
that kind of like pulled me into, because I used to not be a fan of the whole screaming, distorted, like type of thing. But and I don't know if it was you, Tim, or if it was just something I came up with on my own. But as soon as I started to listen to it as one an instrumental line, like taking away the idea of this is vocals, but rather looking at it like it's an instrument, and the voice is an instrument. Well, I get that, but the point is to separate the humanness aspect of it. And the second thing that happened is just like, wait, this is just distortion on a voice like it is on a guitar.
right.
It's literally the same line coming out. They're just doing something with their vocal cords in the shape of the mouth to kind of twist that into something distorted, but it's still instrumental in that. When I got into that headspace, listening to that music for me, it's like, I get it. Like, that's one of the things that drives the kids crazy every time again. I'll take them in the car, turn it on, it'll connect to my phone, and it comes over the radio. And they're like, "What, Dad? What the heck?" Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry. That goes from that to Philip Glass to wherever else in between. But I think I don't know where exactly I was heading with that, but I guess my point is that like I can get that type of emotional energy from the voice with that, and I think that's part of maybe what connects that to the audience is that everybody knows if somebody's screaming, it's generally not because they're super happy, or whichever. Like there's an emotive of instinct behind that. So maybe, and I'm just trying to bridge that gap between like, why is that like, why is Cannibal Corpse in one sense packing out places compared to Pat Metheny just keeping that thing together, even though I think Metheny might have more of a draw right now, but I don't know. But regardless of that point, that like, why would that happen with those distinct styles of music? And I think that one of them has to do with more of a biological response to hearing that because it's universal. Like everybody knows that type of guttural thing is portraying some type of emotive thing. Whereas where it's instrumental, it's kind of doing its thing and playing through and doing the lines, and we can follow it, and that's great. But there's that lack of primal connection.
I agree. I'm going to dive in, but a little bit left of center here. It's sometimes the music is too crafty to connect. Let me give I'll make this story short, but so there's a band that shall remain unnamed. I don't want to say what it is. I saw them one time at NAMM, and I couldn't get out of there fast enough. It was all muso time bullshit. Like it was like, I hate any of that stuff, and I'll be the first to admit my delicate sensibilities lie in something really pretty. Like I love like Neil Sean or like the Beatles-esque or ELO, or like I have a certain melodic sensibility that I love. So anything else sometimes really gets on my nerves. But anyway, I saw this band. So then I was forced to go see them another time by this booking agent of mine. And so we're there, and I'm like, oh man, I like the music was driving me crazy. And like drummer's like gets up, hey, this next tune is whatever. This next it's at 15/16, so it's gonna feel like to me, there's no emotional connection. It's all just looking at lines and numbers. There's no emotional connection. I don't care what, at least for me, some people I was with, at the end of the show, like, oh my God, that was just life changing. And I'm like, are you effing kidding me? Like, I'm thinking like, how can you, and that's the power of music, right? The power of music is, it moves some people, and you either love it or hate it. So because of that night, I walked out of that venue and I said, my next record, and the next record was going to be Peach. I am writing the simplest, most direct melody. I am not changing. Like, it is going to be like Back in Black, but instrumental. Like, really, because I hate anything that is so and I'm not judging. I mean, these guys are fantastic musicians, and it's great, and a lot of people love it. I'm just saying, for me, like it's about the song, right? It's about the melody. It's about the emotional connection of it. Like, I think sometimes we as musicians, we look too much at the painting, So for instance, you go up to the Mona Lisa, instead of stepping back and saying, "Wow, that's a beautiful girl," which she really is not that beautiful, but that is really a beautiful painting. I see what the artist is really trying to do, and yeah, man, I love it. I'm feeling it. The musician musos are like up 1 centimeter from the thing. Do you see the brush stroke? He must have used some rustic rock with oil, and the brush stroke, he went like, we're looking too close at the construction of what it is versus, do you enjoy it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure.
So that's just me. I go off on tangents with that stuff, but
oh no, totally.
I
get that. It's like it's me. I love that style personally. I love it, but I also flip to like the complete opposite of like to Olafur Arnold, who's an Icelandic composer, and I'm totally sounding like this is supposed to be common knowledge. But anyways, that much to say, Olafur is like very simple melodic stuff, super, very minimalist, and just gorgeous writing. You can just swim in it, and nothing crazy time singing. It's just all generally in 4 and very major key, very straightforward. But God, the emotive sense that he pulls from that is intense. And I like my Apple Music like list is probably, they're looking at it at Apple or the NSA or whatever and going like, what the hell is with this guy? Because he's literally pendulum.
Does he just have it on random?
Yeah, exactly. It's so, but I get your points with that. And for myself, when I'm listening to things, it's like there's days where it is nothing but, yeah, give me the 2116. I don't care. Give me something. I need that type of disjointed aggression.
That's beautiful, though. That's
and other
great.
days, it's like I need something simple, or I'm on choir music, or I'm here. It might be ADD for music for me. And like even with my own like concert selections, like as I'm picking the pieces, there's some that I just can't get away with. I was just commiserating with Tim. I think it was his last podcast or texting. It's like, I just can't drop the 998. I just can't drop that Bach piece. No matter how much I want to, it always is. It's always a part of it, no matter what I do. But there's other stuff that I just couldn't wait to ditch. It's like, God, I'm playing this and never again. Like if I never have to play Canon in D again, I would never do it.
God.
But that's just like, for weddings though, right?
Yeah, but that's
like the classical free bird.
Right.
Yep. Well, this last wedding I did, somebody in the audience was talking about like, we should yell out Freebird or Stairway to Heaven. And it was a small, like 30 people outside type of thing. And I heard her and I looked at her and I just did the intro to Stairway. I got a whole row of people laughing at me. Right. One of the bridesmaids gave me a dirty look, like, what the heck are you doing? And then I'm like, listen to the laughter. It was a joke. We haven't even started any of the official stuff yet. And then I switched back into the pretty background music. But it was just one of those things.
Neil, you have a song like that though, right? I'm All Right. You've played that how many thousand times probably?
Yeah, I mean that was off of Sing, and that was it was just I don't want to say it was like kind of a filler tune on the record. I didn't know, you know. And of course, I go overseas, and all of a sudden, like people know this tune, and it's like it was. I don't know where it came from, but like it's my, again, air quoting, it's my hit, and everyone wants to hear that one, so I'll play it for you.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's when everybody's dazed over. No,
yeah. Well,
it is. Though sometimes I do smile as I play that, because I'm like, it's crazy. Like I'm over in China, I'm over in Singapore, I'm over, where we're playing. And I play that tune, and when the place comes down, I mean, and
that's awesome.
Like I'm pretty lucky that at least something I did caught on, you know.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine being Guns N' Roses and having like mega hits that you just play around the world that people know and love. So.
I saw John Mayer on an interview, and he was talking about how he's like, it's never the song you thought was like. he's like, this is the song on the album, like this is the one I feel really good about. It's like it's never that one, and it's never necessarily the worst one where you like just made it to the record, but it's like that sort of like mid one where you're like it's pretty good, I think, and then that happens to be the one that everyone resonates with, you know.
Yeah,
Like, so is that one?
crazy.
It wasn't this one that I like. That's the one I thought it would be that one. Yeah.
No, and then I second guess like how I named it. Like it was the first tune I wrote for Sing, so I was like, okay, cool, I'm all right. I can do this. Like I could write more songs. I got this. I'm all right. So I should have called it Sing, or like there's a million better titles, but of course I'm stuck with I'm all right now. So
Hey, there's worse.
How
things.
do you know, right?
Yeah.
You never know.
That's a quirky thing. You write it, and it kind of takes a life of its own. Like it just, whoop, all of a sudden, that one that you're thinking, oh, this is kind of, it's done, it's out there, I like it, cool, I can keep going. All of a sudden, that's the one that everybody latches onto.
Well, it's weird because so a label took Sing, and I don't know. I'm in Ohio here. I didn't know anything, so they asked if I wanted to bring my band over and play this festival, and it was in South Korea, and like, sure, man. I never been to Korea before. Let's go. So I got there, and again, like they don't tell me anything. So like, I got there. I'm one of the headliners of this thing. I've never been there before. It was like me, if you ever heard of the band Soilwork,
Sure.
and I forget who else it was. Another band were the headliners. It's the Busan International Rock Festival, which is like I didn't know what the hell that was either. So we come out, and it's like, I'm not joking, 30,000 people back up against the ocean. And like banners, I'm all right, or Zaza, and then afterwards I'm signing autographs, and they're like Zaza, and like they have I'm all right or Melody as their ringtones, and like it was surreal because like I didn't know that was even going on. I was like, ringtone. I'm not getting paid for that. I'm joking.
Like, I need to call my manager after that.
So, the best plan, you can never plan stuff like that. So, anyway.
That's awesome. Very, very cool. So,
and you're like, oh man, then I need a band, don't I?
Yeah, that was cool. They flew my band out too. So I got to do that. I didn't have to do that to tracks or anything like that. It was a band, so that was cool. Yeah.
So obviously, well, not to bring it up to date, but so most of your touring, is that like in the is Orient the right word? In the Asia Pacific area in terms of overseas, or do you hit Europe? Oh wait, you do a lot of stuff in Italy as well, and the European legs and stuff like that. Well, at least did until everything comes back to where it needs to be, type of thing. But with all that, was this a common, like, to kind of piggyback off of the band thing? So they flew you all out for South Korea, but when you're doing a European leg or an Asia Pacific leg, is it like bands that you have kind of like waiting for you, quote unquote, like guys that you'll play with over there, just, for money reasons and passport reasons, all the other stuff, you have like different local bands that are your backup things with that?
It's a great question. Great question. So it depends on what area I go to as to what I use or what I do. So like up until the pandemic, of course, I guess it's there's, BC and AD. Now there's before the pandemic, whatever that might be. I did China 2 to 3 times a year, a month at a time. So I was over there months throughout the year. So in China, the promoter, but I understand it. He won't bring the band over because where I play, it's sold out. It's packed. So rightfully he says, what does it matter if I bring the band over? Because it's not going to sell any more tickets for me, but it's going to quadruple the expense of the tour. So I do understand. I mean, he's right. But if I do Japan or I do Singapore, or I did Malaysia or Indonesia or anything like that, I'll use a band, or I've been hitting Europe pretty hard until, and that's full band. So I really don't do a lot of track gigs except for China. China is all track. And just to cut to the present now with the situation, the impending dust storm coming back again, you see the cloud coming back. I think we all feel it. I have this impending sense of doom. Like, I think I'll do more fly dates and track dates that are already booked. Like my booking agent is booked, like California, Mexicali, or we're doing some East Coast, New York. So some little runs where I'll track it versus band. But band is always the preferred way to go. Mm-hmm. But what can you do? So
with all the gigs in like China in particular, do you have gear stored over there, or do you fly it all over? Yeah.
No, I have a whole rig of everything over there. So I have a few Pelicans. Like I have a Fractal over there. I have a Kiesel. I have over there. I have all my cables. I have an inner monitor set there. Like I have everything. So I just have to get on the plane and get off, and
right.
It sounds really cool,
right?
Until like the last time I toured, we left my gear at some studio, and I get it. I open my guitar case, and I normally zip tie the case so that the two zippers are so no one can get into stuff. I'm like, it's broke. Like what? Like, so someone clipped it and they were using my gear, like playing and I forget what was broke, the tuning machine or like, are you kidding me? So, but for the most part, it's easier to leave gear there. And then in Europe, I have another set of gear sitting, waiting there too. So I have, I think 2 Kiesels and Pelicans full of gear again. So I just have to walk on a plane and I can get off in my gears there. So
nice.
It sounds all rock star, but it's the only way, because the airlines are killing us.
I know.
Oh yeah, no kidding. No kidding. Yeah. I get so paranoid when I have to fly. It's ridiculous. Because the unfortunate thing, and this is clearly a classical musician thing. It's like we keep one instrument, that's our concert instrument, and that's it. And so it's like I go onto a plane, it's like, I really hope I can take this on. And even when I take it on, I'm still like, it's in the overhead bin, and I'm still just like, nervous the whole way. Twitch my fingers, like I just want to get off and walk out with the guitar, and everything will be okay. Sure. That's all. I don't know, because I had one bad experience, and that like ruins even to this day. It's like always makes me paranoid to fly, no matter how much insurance I have, how much they assure me that it's going to be out there. It's like I believe it when I'm walking off and my guitar is totally fine. That's just the way that it is. Like I burn once, that's all it takes. So
I know, and you're really at the mercy of the gate agent, or like, so right. When going overseas, 747s are the best because they have all kind of overhead room, and all the bins are long enough that can accommodate. But these Airbuses now, the overhead is
starting to make them smaller. Yeah,
right. So that the only thing you have on an Airbus 380 or whatever is the front closet. And if they're in a dicky mood,
mm-hmm.
You're done.
Yep.
So I always, hi, how you doing? I just, hey, do you mind? Can I leave this in there? Like, it's such a pain.
Oh,
yeah. My mom.
I travel a lot too, and I always take a guitar. It's always they'll hand you those gate check things too, and you're like, oh, thanks, and I just put it in my back pocket.
I just got. I'm going to start touring with it. Have you seen those Enki road cases? Like they come off. They're real hard plastic, and they're ATA flight.
Nice.
Anyway, so I'm gonna start. I guess
are they pretty small then too?
They're really light. They're like you could fit 2 guitars, and it's under 50 pounds, and it's less than the weight of like carrying 2 guitars. It's crazy.
Wow.
So So I got to start putting them underneath and something, because like the flying has just been horrific lately with, they're killing us.
So
man.
when you first went to Korea, what year was, do you remember what year that was then?
That was,
I guess what I'm trying to get at is
2000 maybe.
okay, so the airlines still suck then. I was gonna say, I know it was about a decade or so before that though. People were flying with like heads and stuff and putting them in the overhead bin. You know what I mean? But
I always say
I never got to experience that.
You should charge people to put bags in the plane and not charge them to put them underneath, because all these people, they don't want to put the bags underneath. I know I'm screwing myself by saying that, but like no one wants to check it because it's expensive. So they all bring it on board, and then it takes forever and everyone is pissed because, whereas if you would make the underneath free, everyone would just put everything underneath. I don't know. So
maybe, I used to feel bad at first putting my guitar up, because people would walk by and they'd be like going to put their personal bag or, their bag up there. And they're like, oh man, there's a guitar, and they have to go to the next one. And then, but you see so many people put their like bag that's supposed to go under the seat up there, and they put their jacket up there. I'm like, I'll take my guitar down as soon as everyone else takes all their other like jackets out and other crap that they put up there.
Yep.
Or I try to explain to the gate agent, like, if you let me go on first, I'll put the guitar in the back of the bin, right?
Yeah.
So then people just put their stuff in front of me. But if I have to go on mid-group, now there's nowhere for me to put it, because no one's going to. So let me get on, let me put it in the back, and they can put everything and push it back.
Yeah.
So
luckily though, one of those Asia trips probably gets you practically like platinum status, right?
Yeah, I was racking some good miles. So
you get to get on first anyway,
right? So now everything, I thought 21 was going to be, oh man, I'm going to be back. But it's all now 22. Like, I'm doing Europe May and September of next year with the band, and then it's just everything just got pushed. So it's it's a pain, but there it is.
All right, let's talk about formal guitar education, because we all have this experience.
I know where this is going.
Yeah, you know exactly where I'm taking this one, because we've all been there, and it's we've all been students of the illustrious Stephen Aron at the University of Akron. Me and Tim actually met in that program. Tim was the crazy man that decided to do jazz and classical at the same time. And
did you study? Was it Bob Fraser you studied?
Yeah, Bob. Yep.
Come on, man. We're going to talk about him in a second.
Yeah,
all right, good. So we got all this connection. This is great. So what made you go for classical with that? Like, what was the thinking?
There was no jazz there. No, I was kidding.
Well, it was Randy Rhoads, man. Like,
okay, all right.
Like for me, and obviously that's probably why I bounced out in 3 to 4 years without a degree, But Randy Rhoads, that first Blizzard record, and that was a big thing. And I'll get to my punchline, which is, I'm gonna tell you the greatest influence that I've had, and I say this all the time, not just because it's just us, talking about it. Steve Aron was life-changing for me. He really was. He's, as we know him now, he's a great guy, but when you're in his crosshairs, sitting in that chair, there's no messing around. Like, you're held accountable,
right?
And it's time to get to work. And I got to say that I've maintained that fear that I've learned from him throughout what I do. Like, if Steve was sitting here, how would I want to play? He's been like a divining rod for me. So yeah, listen, did I eventually end up graduating from Akron? I did. But what I learned from him, he imprinted me to this very day. My career, my work ethic, how I view things, it's Stephen Aron's fingerprint all over that. you know. So
Yeah,
Totally.
Great.
Yeah,
I know. I mean,
he's
sure.
effing scary. Let me just say
Oh, yeah.
that, man.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
I'll
Man,
never
I
forget,
remember
like,
one time.
go ahead.
This is my first real like moment with him. Was I thought, man, I got these pieces from him to work on, and I like worked on them, and I was like, man, I got this, you know. And I played it, you know, and I thought at that time just playing the notes in the right time or whatever meant you were playing it, and like. We had like the way he talked, like, he's like, that's nice. He's like, well, now we have to learn how to actually play the song, you know, like, but it was like, I thought I learned the wrong way, you know, and it was like, really had to like take a step back and realize, even though I thought I did a good job, that wasn't actually hearing the music, you know, or whatever. It was amazing. Still all rings in my head.
Tell me though, sitting in his chair, of course, I can't think of the movie now. What's the scene where he's like, no, my time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. God. Oh my God. I just drew a blank. It was right there. It's a jazz movie with the drummer.
And the guy from Oz.
Yeah, the guy from. Yeah, exactly. God,
what is the movie? I can't think of the movie.
Oh God, I'm clicking on the internet here.
Okay, but while you're finding out what it is, we all know the scene. No. And he's calm at first.
Right.
And that's the evil thing of it, right?
Yeah.
No. My time. Hey, oh, that's okay. My time. No. And damn it, if that isn't Sitting with Steve.
Oh, yeah.
Whiplash. That's the movie.
Whiplash.
Yeah. That scene. I was the first time that like scene got released as just a standalone. I was like, honey, this is what it feels like. It's not legitimately like that, but when you're in that seat, it's like that. You know, it's like you have him, and he's intense because he gets it, and he's not letting you, and he wants to bestow that on you. Like, he's intense because he gives a damn. And he's like, nope, here. He's constantly like knocking you back into place, you know, to get those results that are going to be good because he knows what he's talking about. Right. You know, it still doesn't make it any less intimidating to sit in, you know, even to this day, you know, if I heard Steve was going to show up at a concert of mine, I'd be like, oh, crap. You know, I haven't shaken that factor yet.
No. And we don't want to.
No, exactly. We want to be respectful of. It's kind of respect. Not like I'm peeing myself or anything like that, but it's like I want to do well because this guy has poured into me this amount of effort, you know. And granted, I paid for it, but I paid for it for a reason because he cares. And there's nothing worse, at least with myself and my teaching philosophy, than a teacher that just lets you do whatever the hell you want.
Oh, you know, if they say good job. Good job,
yes,
Zach.
Exactly. Yep. Everything is great. You know, that's fine. Way to go. It's like, now that I'm teaching predominantly at the collegiate level, it's like I hear him come out of my mouth as I'm teaching students, and I'm like, wow. But I get it now, and it's kind of fun to sit in the other chair. It's like, really, I'm not trying to make you nervous. I'm really not trying to give you this personality quirk of, oh my God, I can't play in front of the teacher. I just want you to be able to do this better. So I'm trying to guide you this way, but I come off as intense because I don't want you to don't waste the time of repeating it the wrong way again. Let's fix it.
But I think he understood always, like I think if I failed at a lesson or whatever, I think he knew I was trying. No, I think he knew I was giving it the full effort. So, you know, like, yeah, he would be like, I'll never forget. He said, I faster, but I played it louder. I didn't say louder. I said faster. And damn it, if I couldn't navigate that faster and not loud, you know. But I was in my class. There was a few idiots that were just, you know, and I know he threw metronomes and like. You know, but man, that's what we want. We want to be beat up a little bit because it's for our own good. If he wouldn't do it, who would? I wouldn't.
Sure.
We wouldn't know.
Yeah. Like, what do you base that off of? You don't have any.
If you don't know, you were doing good. Like I said, I mean, I thought it was good. I would have been like, hey, look, I mastered this piece, and he was like, yeah.
No.
Maybe we should start with an easier piece.
Yep.
If I may. Shift. If we could talk about the ultimate badass of Bob Fraser, can we?
Oh man, Bob's the man.
Man, so I I was fighting a dual personality back then. So yeah, I was in classical, but man, I was in a band and I was still a rocker, and like, I don't know, the fit wasn't great, but I didn't know it. It took me a few years to find out, So I said, well, I'll take some jazz lessons because I play electric guitar, So it was in that first room in Gazetta Hall downstairs, that corner room, right as you walk downstairs, and I didn't know who Bob was, and I see him come down. He's rolling his little jazz amp on his little roller, and sits down. He has a shirt unbuttoned, a little relaxed. So has it like a 335. He's leaning back, and he goes, "So what are you into? What are you into?" And I said, "Well, and I didn't mean it in a mean way, but I'm like, I don't know if you know this guy who I'm into. Well, try. Who is it? His name's Yngwie Malmsteen." And he goes, "Oh, I love Yngwie, man."
Oh,
and he proceeded. I mean, this is when Yngwie came out. So like, I don't know if it was a new technique or what, but he swept this insane with a clean tone, seared my face up. And from that second, I was like, I was dedicated to Bob Fraser. Bob Fraser is the ultimate badass. Really.
He's Adam, did you ever study with him at all?
No, I never
Bob
did.
was also the guy, man. He was the guy you never left a lesson without like 5 CDs in your hand or whatever. Like he was always just like giving you music and like, check this out, and like I still get emails from him, and it's like, oh, check out this video or check out this player. He's like constantly seeking and learning. So it's like not surprising to me at all about the Yngwie. Like some kid probably brought it to him and he was like, "Oh man, that's cool." Like he just checked out anything. And it wasn't all jazz, it could be anything. It was amazing.
And he was really understanding with me because I think again he could sense in my heart I was giving all I had, but like Steve was, on my back. I had a so I'd come in, I go, "Bob, I didn't, I here's what I got a chance to do this week." And cool, no. He always was like, he knew, "Bob, I promise I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna stockpile it." And he just had such an understanding demeanor. But damn it, I'll tell you what, I did eventually get everything that he gave me. It just, not in that semester, but
yeah,
he is a bad mofo, man. He can play.
Absolutely.
So
very cool.
Yeah.
So what are you doing now? What's on Neil's plate in terms
He's
of
had
music?
a year and a half vacation, right?
Yeah, man, I just been sitting around collecting synthesizers. I don't know.
Adam did tell me you were collecting synthesizers. That's not a joke, I don't think, is it?
No.
What pile of money I had all went to synths. How does a dude that really doesn't play keyboards, I mean, I can play, but I would never perform, but I can record it. I got into this analog synthesizer stuff. I'm hooked. Like it's a sickness. Like I got like some vintage. I got a vintage Poly 6, a vintage mono Poly. I like you couldn't believe. It's crazy, but it helps in my writing and stuff.
Yeah,
like
sure.
that.
And they sound super cool.
But in that, so I had time, and I just completed up through the mixing. We're going to determine what's going to happen with it. I just finished a new record. We just got to mix it though now, however that's going to look. And I'm really proud of it. I think the songs are really good. Everyone always says the same thing. I think it's my best work, but if we don't feel that, then why are we doing it? Right.
Yeah, sure.
But, so yeah, it's, the new record's going to be called Vermeer. And, I'm waiting to see what we're going to do. If I'm going to mix it, or I like to get someone heavy to mix it. It needs to be really mixed incredibly. So
yeah.
That's where I'm at with that right now. So
Very cool. Any expected release date?
I'd like to get it by the end of the year. So this week I finished my roughs, and then I'm going to send it to a few people. I've been talking to a few different mixers, but we'll see financially if I can swing that after a year and a half of, living on granola, but we'll see, right?
So are you
But,
still,
you know, the
have you
rest
been
of
on
the year-
have you been on a label recently, or did you go independent? Yeah.
just doing it myself.
Yeah. It doesn't
Because
make a lot of
really,
sense these
for-
days, right?
Yeah, for me, and I think for anyone, the services you could get through TuneCore. I use
Right.
TuneCore. You know, you get it all the digital services, and what's a label going to do other than they're not going to tour support you? They're just going to do whatever you could do yourself, and you're going to give them a percentage. So
Yeah, sure.
they're not giving you any money. So, you know.
Now, do you hire a promoter then of some sort?
I think I will.
Or I guess I should
in the
say
past.
more like a publisher or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to hire someone to get it on more than, you know, of course, everyone does something and I threw it on Facebook.
That's right.
I don't
Nobody
understand
heard it.
why, you know, I put it on Instagram, but you know, as you guys probably know, the funny thing is, like, say with social, with Facebook or Instagram, like I could say, hey man, I just releasing this new record. I just wrote this song. It's my heart was bleeding when I wrote it, and it's just really encapsulates everything I feel about life and existentialism and da 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 da. Yeah, okay, 100 likes. You know,
Right.
Here's my cat sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
500 likes. Like,
Right.
like, are you kidding me?
Yep.
I think they do it just to mess with us too. There's like, we know you're trying to sell something. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. I'm tuned out right now. I'm tuning you out. So.
That's why they give you all those emails about you know you can promote your stuff for $30. Buy an ad buy at Facebook. It's really no. I've given you enough free content. I'm done with the other stuff.
It is interesting though, because you can see, like, so I have a show Thursday at this new night stage next to Akron Civic, or like One Dark Night, or, you know, I'm going to do One Silent Night this year at Goodyear Theater. When you first release something, you know, the news of it, oh, cool, we'll be there, a lot of interest. But yeah, I don't think you can't really beat people up a lot. Like a lot of people do keep posting, and then you just tune it out. So, you know, you're like, why don't you post more? But it's like people tune it out anyway. So let's not kill them with stuff, you know? So
It's tough.
The only thing that got traction, at least for us, was when we did that month of memes, like constantly posting a meme. Like I schedule it out for like 60 days of just like meme after meme after meme, and all of a sudden it's like boom, we're getting all these tractions. It's like, well, we got that going for us, but can you go over and click on the podcast? You know, yeah, that was funny, but you know, no, it's not.
maybe we just need to like take pictures of our animals or of
Right.
an animal and put it. Here's a picture of my cat. Oh, by the way, I have a podcast out now. You know,
Right.
I'll give it a shot. You know, apparently my dogs are cute or something, so that'll work.
There's a guitarist. He's kind of like a Tuck Andrews sort of guy. His name's Taylor Roberts. I don't know if you guys see him on Facebook or whatever, but he'll post something like controversial, you know, like Trump, da 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 da, whatever, and then he says, "Come to my show," like at the end. So we get like all these likes, and it's like at the bottom, yeah. Come to my show at 9:00 tonight at the da 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 da. You know.
Hey,
it sounds like a good marketing.
Yeah,
plan.
it actually works pretty well.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So that gets the attention, you know. That's and in today's day and age, you're shouting through so much noise to get somebody to focus for more than like 2 seconds before they move. It's tough. Like that's tricky. It's like I have videos recorded that I'm just like, you know what? I just can't do that anymore. I just don't. Nah, it's not there.
You know that it's interesting you say that though, because people always say, well, like why don't you post more of you playing, or like why don't you get I signed up for TikTok but I haven't posted, you know. And I know it's like so old man of me that like, but like I'll get on say TikTok, I'll look and like everyone and their brother has posted playing, right? Mm-hmm. So then I'm thinking like, dude, by the time they get to me, they've heard everything already. Like, so like maybe that's not the way to do it for me. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Sure.
It's just sensory overload.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've
I think the song's
used it
good
as
to
like
the
a sort of a experiment, and it's mostly depressing, honestly.
Yeah,
Because
you did that.
it's never like the thing like you said, like this is the song that I wrote for my wife or whatever, my kid that I put everything in my heart into, and you get like 3 likes. But then if you show some crazy tapping technique or something, then you know 1,000 people like it. So you're like, okay,
Or even worse, like when I go on TikTok, and I look something real fast, like a girl. And listen, I love girls in bikinis. You know, we all do. But like 500,000 likes for them mouth lip syncing a rap song, like that's
Right.
even more discouraging, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
It's like, so I know, listen, we can't change it. It is what it is, but I just don't know if that's the best, you know, like here's a tune up on your record. Let me play you 30 seconds of it. I don't know if I'll try it coming up, but I don't know.
It doesn't hurt. And it's one of those you never know. It's the one thing you didn't think was gonna take off, and all of a sudden,
Yeah. Totally. Like the funny, like on my YouTube channel, the thing that has one of the most views is that Node play along. Like I went through the notebook and played all the accompaniments. It's like boom, that's it's like taken off. It's like, okay, I mean, I'll take it, whatever. And honestly, I did that as a service for everybody. I did it for my college students. So I'm like, listen, just go to my YouTube channel if you need to practice. I have the accompaniment so you can hear what it is to play with somebody, because that's another step where if you're playing by yourself, that's one thing. Having that feedback of somebody else and keeping you in time is going to really kind of develop things. So just go to here. But like all of a sudden, like you can look at the schematic things, and like in India, it's like huge. It's like the weirdest thing to me, though. It's so crazy and surreal how small the world is and how big the world is at the same time.
Absolutely.
You know, that's just crazy, but it's interesting. And on that, on kind of that, no, this is not connected at all. I'm going kind of random here. So you have your own Kiesel guitars.
Yes, my own signature model.
Okay, I forgot the model. What is it? It's like the
NZ624, but then I started using a Kiesel Aries more and more. So now we released an NZ. I don't know that they use model numbers, so I don't know what it is. NZ something or other, but it's an Aries with a thinner neck, a matte colored finish, and one volume knob. It's a real
Sweet.
clean machine. But yeah.
So how did you get hooked up with them, if you don't mind? Like, how did that process happen? Did somebody say, hey, we're X Guitars, you know, you're a really good guitar player, would you like to jump on our brand type of thing? And then I'm assuming it probably wasn't just one brand that did that with you. So did you like wheedle it down after talking to them, or did you just like have this idea and approach them? How did that work out?
You used to play court. You had the court stuff too,
right?
Yeah.
So I had it was a good deal for me. So I was with Court Guitars for a few years, and they did that NZ1 and NZ2, and it was a great deal because the guitars were low price, but I still thought they played really good. Mm-hmm. And so like they sold a ton, and then the company was behind me with clinics and worldwide promotion and touring. So that really helped a lot. Like that was a big
that's awesome.
boost at that point in my career. And I rode that as hard as I could. Then I guess it's like a record label where, you know, you lose your team, they all leave, and now you're like my team's gone and we're not doing anything. So I knew I wanted to leave Court, and one of my buddies had a Carvin, and he came to the studio and I played it. I'm like, oh my God, this guitar is incredible. I loved it. So then he hooked me up with the artist relation guy, and then we ended up flying to my manager and me at the time flew to San Diego, where Carvin or Kiesel now is located.
Jeff Kiesel.
And then we met with at that time it was called Carvin, and we met with Jeff, who was I think the national sales manager at the time, and Mark, his dad, and Richard, the artist relation guy. We had a nice talk, and then we just said, let's do something. And so actually the guitar that I wanted, they said, so what guitar do you like? and they had a carved top, a 22 fret carved top that I loved, but I use 24 frets. A lot of the stuff I do, I play has a high E.
Yeah.
So we can't do that. No, we don't have anything else you like, And so I kept pushing on that. I want that carved top, but I want it in a 24 fret. So finally they decided to make that CT 24, I think they call it, carved top 24. And that turned out to be the NZ 624. And so it's been a great relationship with them. And as I said, now I've been playing these Aries. Jeff let me play an Aries at a NAMM show, and I was like, man, I love this. So normally we went from the dovetailed in neck and the really heavy body to like a bolt-on.
Yeah.
And I love it. It's fantastic. So I've had a great relationship with them. It's not like the old days though, where like when I was with PV or something, like we're going out doing clinics, all throughout the year and stuff like that. So it's definitely a smaller operation in terms of like promotion and stuff like that. But
yeah,
honestly, there's not another guitar I'd want to play. So it's not even about like anything other than I love the guitars at this point. So
I think cool. they've obviously built a reputation of having like incredible guitar players on their roster too, right? I mean, it's like a list. It's like the guitar players list of great players.
They had when I got in, like I was so outclassed. Like they had Alan Holdsworth,
right,
Frank Gambale. They had a few other guys.
They were making his legacy amps, right? So Vi and all that too.
Right. And listen, when they made a decision to change the name and split the company, and everyone that I talked to, man, I don't know if Jeff knows what he's doing. It's Carvin, you could never duplicate that success, and whatever. And Jeff just said, screw it, and I'm using my name. I'm using the family name, Kiesel.
Right.
And then it was like, then I would talk to, he's making a mistake. And I didn't buy it though. I really didn't. I knew. And now a Kiesel is, it's a really great renowned brand for the modern player. And I love it because Jeff just did what he wanted to do. He's like, hey man, we're changing the name. We're going to customize stuff. He started bringing in, I don't play those, but he started bringing in the headless stuff, which is what the new breed of player loves.
Yeah.
Adam.
It is comfy. Yep.
So he followed his own gut, and he was absolutely correct in what he did.
Little asterisk on the, not a Kiesel. Yeah.
Right.
But no, I looked at him. I really did, but I just couldn't justify spending that much on something that's not like the prime thing that I do. So.
Right. Exactly.
So Neil, so you have a new record. I guess we're all guitar players here. Any like nerdy stuff you want to tell us about, like gear you used on it, and sort of like anything new, different, cool you learned?
Well, that's actually a good question, and you would think I would have been ready with an answer.
Come on.
The more I record, I'm grasping at answers now, but like. I'll say, like, I've learned that sometimes less is more. Not just in terms of melody or whatever, but like instead of like stacking 6 guitars on something like I would before, or like have all these interlocking parts and all that, like, and then you go to mix it and it's just it's so dense, nothing sticks out. For me, I found that let's say a rhythm track. 2 tracks panned, and then I have this baritone that's on the top of the couch right there. It's a Dan Electro baritone.
Oh, nice.
Right up the middle. And so you bury the baritone a little bit underneath for that weight, and that's all you need, So I learned less guitars.
Are you using amps? Or are you using modeling? Or what are you using?
I used on this record, I used all modeling. Like I started using this Neural DSP Plini plugin.
Yeah.
Yep.
And man, like I love it. It sounds amazing. And so like when I started getting these mixes together, I'm like, all right, I record the dry track and then I'll bounce it out, but I always have the dry track if I want to reamp it. And like on some of my other records, I have a great selection of heads. I have Diesels, these Wizards, these old Marshalls, I have some really killer heads. And I'm like, I'm cool. Like it sounds good. So, yeah. And as far as guitars, I really stick to a few of them. So, I'll tell you this. One of the things I find funny is everyone thinks a Telecaster is a country guitar, but I'm telling you what, you put some distortion, some overdrive on a Tele, and man, that thing is articulate. It cuts through. You hear the notes ring. So I used this blue Aries I have, the spalted top blue Aries for most everything, but I sparkled in some Tele on top of it, and it just popped like magic. So the Tele, man.
I was on a search. Being a lefty, like finding guitars sucks, right? So we're always just ordering it,
right.
crossing our fingers, hoping that it's good. And you bat about 50%, and maybe you're doing okay. So I've been seeking out a Tele. Like I knew I wanted one, but I there's not a lot of places to try it. But there's this place in Houston that has all left-handed guitars. So I tried a ton of them there, and I knew it existed, but I didn't find one. I couldn't find the one I want.
Right.
I wasn't the right one. And but I finally did get one like 6 months ago from K-Line. I don't know if you've ever seen that brand, but they're it's a custom handmade one. But it's just awesome. It's like the more vintagey, fatter neck kind of thing. But man, it has so much personality and stuff like you said, and you can rip with that thing if you want. I mean, it sounds killing. So I'm a huge Tele convert right now.
With gain,
yeah.
Like you put some distortion on it, you hear the notes. It doesn't mush out. My Tele it's a Nash Tele.
Oh, nice.
And it's, dude, I love it. So I love it.
I like.
And I did bring in my old Van Halen stuff. So. Like that jet flanger thing he does, like in the Cradle of Rock, or from Unchained or whatever.
Yeah.
So I have the old vintage MXR flanger in Phase 90. So I brought that in more than I ever have before. So
sweet.
Awesome. So we're looking at probably before the end of the year for that to come out. You got your show coming out on Thursday, and that is where.
What's the show? What's going on Thursday? Is that your group or what's that?
Yeah, so that'll be my band, and so Akron Civic, as if you guys have been downtown in Akron, they've totally redone all that. So right next to the Civic, they have a smaller performance hall now. It's called the Night Stage, and about 200 people. And it's a really cool place. So the grand opening is this week. So that's why they asked if I'd play. And so we're going to play, a regular Neil set. We're going to do some stuff off the new record, even though no one will know it. And that they'll be, what the hell is that song? But so we're going to do
just
that.
That it rocks, of course.
Yeah, we're hoping. Yeah. And then, so then right after that, then prep starts for that big orchestral One Dark Night, which is always, it's just a behemoth, So I actually started trying to remember some of the pieces, And listen, Adam, what am I talking? You do this crazy stuff, and Tim, you do too. I'm just like a dumb rock player, but like
hardly.
I'm looking for muscle memory on this stuff because it's intense stuff. So I gotta start learning it soon. So,
Well, I mean, the gig's in 3 days. That's not even something I would do.
No, for One Dark Night for October. So,
okay. I was going to say that's.
He could do the other gig in his sleeve. What are you talking about now?
Yeah, exactly.
I got this. Yeah, but it was. I'll say this: it was really strange to to knock the live performance rust off. So yeah, was I playing every day and recording? Yeah, phrase at a time, or but to actually like have the live chops, it took me a few weeks to get back to the vibrato being correct and like the swagger, So
I still haven't been doing much gigs yet, which is weird because I mean, since I was like 15 or something, I was doing gigs at least once a month till the pandemic, right? So I've only done a few, yeah. I mean, and I'm like, it's so rusty. Even just like the switching pedals and like getting your gear in the right order and like getting a sound, and it's all the little things you sort of like. The playing's one part of it, but it's all the logistics of everything else you got to sort of sort through.
No, it like the live rig. Like for me, we got to rehearsal. I'm like, so I have a XFX3 I use. All right, so that goes here. I have to fit, but I don't know how do I hook this up? Where does this go?
Right.
And I use in-ears. Where does the in-ears come from again? Like,
that's totally how
it was
I
out of my
too.
mind.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. So, yeah,
I just walk out with a guitar for the most part,
Bragger you. Bragger.
And maybe
then he just stinks, and it's fine. I was gonna say.
Yeah, exactly. No, hey, that does happen. That's just part of it. That I got nobody to blame but myself with that. I can't look at the drummer and be like, "What the hell?"
Like, oh man, it was this pedal just broke. I don't know why it sounds so horrible. Yeah.
What I should do is bring out pedals and just put them out in front just to see if I get like a rise out of the audience. Like just in the middle of a Bach piece, just step on a pedal and it. They're not plugged in, but see if anybody's like,
well, the placebo effect.
Yeah.
Oh, and man, when you hit that pedal, I heard it just opened the tone up, man.
It's a lot louder.
Yeah,
just the volume knob on that thing.
Good God, man.
Oh, that's just part of that. I don't miss. I mean, I will say that as much as I love plugging into a stack and just having it shake stuff, it's really nice to just walk out with an instrument. That's just it. Sit. Okay, that's cool. I mean, the only thing that I have to worry about is like how live is the room. So I got to make sure I get there early to just like play around and hear how stuff reflects back, and that whole like I remember reading an article by some flute player, but famous one, where he was talking about like, I really have to listen to the room and hear how stuff comes back, and some notes will be more resonant than others just because of the way the room is laid out, and it's just going to do that. And then you do all that, and I was like, that's getting ridiculous. Until I actually started doing that, and I was like, oh no, that's totally true. Like this room, this C is just booming, but the rest of them, not so much. And you do that, but then it fills up with people. And so you have to kind of do another adjustment. Well, let me rephrase that. Hopefully it fills up with people. And then you have to do another adjustment and, to kind of play off of that to make sure everything's kind of like even for the audience, or at least to my own ears with that. But, I remember lugging the old Mesa around for a while there at 80 pounds. It's like, oh yeah, we got to go to the second story. Sweet. That's just great. I'm glad I did all that when I was 20. So
Neil, you bring an in-ear thing. Do you do your own monitor mix then for yourself?
Absolutely. I was
that's the worst part.
I was just, Adam, when you're saying like for me, and this even I did a little quick little track performance at the night stage last week they had a donor thing, and I played a few tunes, and if it always happens, I didn't bring my in-ears. Normally I have two different in-ear rigs. I have a little one I can travel with, and one's in my big rack. But sound check, good, cool, monitor, a little track, a little guitar, and then I'll get the rest off the hall. Cool, sounds great. Don't touch anything. Sounds great. What happens? I walk out. All right, please welcome Neil Zaza. Click. It's all guitar in my monitor. No track. I don't hear the track. I hear maybe a little hi-hat or something from the house. And I was hating myself at that very moment, because this is why I use in-ears. So because I no one touches my stuff. So with the band, my normal rig is I'll go out of my fractal to the house. PA gets one feed, and then one side goes to my in-ears, and then that I have a band mix or tracks into my ears. They could do anything they want. We don't need monitors. Whatever you do, however you're screwing up the front of house, it doesn't affect me because no one touches my stuff. From sound check to when I go on stage, it's the exact same. Mm-hmm. So it's
because that's the worst.
It would be mad to be you know.
Yeah. Oh, totally. It's like you're flying blind. As much as like when that Mariah Carey thing for the New Year's thing where everybody hopped on her, which I kind of did too. But at the same time, it was like, oh wait, technical glitches totally changed my opinion on that. It's like if you can't hear what you're trying to sing to or play to, it's like you're done. It doesn't matter. It's like you're blind.
It's not like Mariah Carey needs to prove herself as a singer either.
Exactly.
And we know she can sing.
Right.
It's Or do you remember in Van Halen they were using tracks for the keyboards for Jump, and it was 48, not 44-1, or vice versa, and like it was a disaster.
Yeah,
what can you do?
Yep. You just got to keep going. That's it. And speaking of which, I always like to ask the question of the best gig and the worst gig that you've done. And clearly you've got a plethora of stuff to choose from. So,
anytime he doesn't have his in-ears is the worst gig.
It's always the worst gig. No, my worst gig was way back when I was going to Akron U. So what was above the Chuckery? It was like a hall, the second level or whatever, the student center. We were opening for some band there, and Trent Reznor was in the band, not in my band, but the band we were opening. It was called The Innocent, and so it was Zaza's first gig. So we were going to come out and like this big crescendo, and I was going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, rock them from the. And I don't know what I was thinking. 1, 2, and I fell over, and I tripped or something. I fell on my guitar, broke the guitar, hurt my back. Then I had to stop. It was a disaster, man. So I never been mortified is the word.
Oh man,
it was. So from that point, I was like, man, if I'm upright, it's a good gig.
Yeah, the bar got suddenly lower on that one. It's like, hey, look, the guitar's in one piece. This is a win.
We made it.
Yeah.
Good.
Or like there was one other gig where it was New Year's Eve. We were playing this packed club back in the day, and I had strep throat. I didn't feel good, and I walked out, and it was hot, and I had strep throat, and I felt weak, and all of a sudden, room starts spinning. I'm gonna pass out. Oh my God. It's like that inner voice. Oh my God, I'm gonna pass out. And then the vision starts closing in. Oh my God. And I remember I ran off stage in the dressing room and I
so you actually got off stage. Jeez.
Yeah. But it's the pressure of, oh my God, everyone's looking at me. How am I gonna explain it? And it's like a little anxiety thing. I was sick, but
Yeah.
What about you guys?
Oh God, I think I've told the story before. But my worst one was I was playing a gig in DC. They flew me out. It was like one of my what I considered like a potential big breakthrough. It's like, oh wait, they want me to play in DC. They're flying me out to play at this coffee house amphitheater thing and everything. It's like, sweet, let's do it. And that was when I was doing my single guitar, the slappity tappity acoustic guitar stuff.
Right.
And so. Get there. I only have one guitar. That's just the nature. One, I'm being left-handed, so it's not like I could go out and buy another Taylor off this thing or whatever. So I'm there. First song, bust a string, which it was the D string out of everything, which I've never done before. Like I've never broken bass strings. It's always been the treble ones. And these were new strings that were on it. It's like new strings, blah blah blah. So what the hell? One guitar. Restrung it real quick, walked back out, and I still had the audience, kind of laughing up, blah, blah, blah. Started up again. A string goes. Just like, what? And these are down tuned. Like, these are not like, in your standard tuning thing. Anyways, long story short, first 3 songs, 3 strings went. The D, the A, and the
low. Oh my God.
And then after that, there was like no, like,
You're like Paganini, man. You're like Paganini. You just played on the other strings.
Yeah, if only, I don't think
Did you at least cut yourself or something, Adam, to make it look like you were cool? Like no blood on the guitar.
I was not that cool at that point. It was, they were nice, but I could totally tell that like I lost the audience and the promoter and everything else. It was like, yeah, this isn't, we're not friends anymore, are we? Whatever. It happened, and that was that. Everybody has a terrible gig. It's just the way that it goes. It's just like you dive bomb, something happens, usually it's something technical. It usually has nothing to do with like the actual performing, because even if you're performing, if it doesn't go well to yourself or whatever, you can always kind of make it up as time goes on. In that particular show, you'll get your groove, and most people will forget unless it's something technical like passing out or breaking multiple strings or what Tim's thing, which was actually pretty recent. Your little technical mishap with the streaming and everything else.
The which one?
Didn't you you were up at the pop stop and you were going to stream it, but then their internet?
Oh, that wasn't. I mean, what can you do? We were playing and it didn't work. No, probably the worst one, which is another. It seems not as bad as the two of yours, but it was kind of funny. So I always bring two guitars, always bring extra amps, etc., because I'm trying to be cautious. Well, you do enough gigs. Eventually, I was like, hey, nothing ever broke. No, never any problems. So I'm like, I don't need to bring an extra gig or an extra guitar to this gig. And it was a CD release party of all things,
No.
And I remember we had it was a good show. It was a good turnout. And we had this the way we were introing. It was like dee doo dee dee doo dee da or whatever, and it was like big drums and everything. The whole thing was going, and it was like dee doo bow, and the D string broke, and it was on I have a G&L Legacy floating bridge, right? And
the whole guitar's out of tune.
The whole guitar's out of tune, and then I go through my gig, and the band keeps playing. They didn't stop. I go through my bag. I didn't have any D strings. So all I could find was a G string. That was the closest thing that I had because I was really prepared, apparently. Normally, I had all this stuff. So I put a G string where the D string was. And, of course, it's floating bridge. So, it's really not in tune, It took me a good 10 minutes to get the thing to, sort of settle. But I did some gnarly bends on that D string that night.
Man. But just the gut feeling like, oh my God, I'm so screwed right now.
Oh, I know. I was like, of all the times I didn't bring an extra guitar. Because I don't break strings very often, but occasionally it happens, right? So you have an extra, and you grab it, and, so 20 seconds later, you're still playing. But not that day. And then there was no D string. It's like, who breaks D strings? That never happens.
Right.
Yep. Exactly. Do you have a stellar gig that sticks out in your memory, Neil?
I can't say there's one that sticks out. I mean, I've had some great overseas dates with, in China, you're playing and it's as far back as you could see, or I have to say I don't have the best gig ever. It's so funny. I always remember that the worst things and the funniest stories, but the good stuff seems to fade away with me. I don't know what that's about. So
how about so you've traveled all over. Do you have a favorite? I'm not gonna say favorite city, but let's say favorite food somewhere. You've had some amazing food somewhere. You were just like, oh my God.
That's a really good question. Of course, my number one's I'm going to say is Italy, because the food, the coffee, that's, I'm an espresso nut because of Italy, because of that's real coffee. This Starbucks shit we drink, it's nonsense. But, I got to say, I eat in China. I'm a vegetarian. So they have this garlic broccoli that I cannot find anywhere but in China. I just order, it's a xilanghua, which is Chinese for broccoli, and it's I have that delivered to me, and I just so there's just some stuff you just can't get in the United States, and that's one of the things. But
awesome.
Italy, man. The food is religion there, man. It's, as you guys, have you guys been to Italy at all or Europe at all?
I've been to Europe a bunch, but I've never made it to Italy. I was just telling somebody about that the other day. I've spent most of the time in Germany and France.
Right.
But
Yeah,
I know, I'm like, I just need to take the train
countries.
down to Italy. Yeah. What's that?
Yeah. Those are great countries.
Oh, yeah. That's great over there.
I
And
spent some
the
time
coffee's
in France.
so much better.
I don't remember the coffee when I was over there.
No,
In France, that,
I'm always
that-
so happy. You're like, oh, this is good.
Yeah. All I did over there when I was studying in France, it was brie and baguette sandwiches with tomato. Like that was like I lived.
That was it.
It was so good though. I mean, it was because where we were, like I was living at Pierre Ben-Suzanne's house. That's like where the seminar was, and he lived in this village of 180 people. That was it. So they literally would, like the baker would drive through in the morning and you'd wait outside and he'd come and you'd order your stuff and give him the money and he'd give you your bread for the day. And so the bread was like right fresh type of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
And get your food and, it's like, okay, let's get the cheese and whatever, but it was a bunch of other people. So let's get our meat for the day and And oh my God, like it was so good. Stellar stuff. And I got to play in a 900-year-old church there. That was pretty wild. Like old,
amazing.
like
that.
Yeah, that's cool.
concrete. It was tremendous. I mean, he had us all do like the community concert there, where it wasn't where we were. It was like a town up of like rather than 180, there was like 1,000 people there. So, but it was pretty cool.
Is it funny in the U.S. It's like, yeah, this is very old. It was from 1879.
That's right.
Yeah,
And you're like,
exactly.
are you
It's a
kidding
century.
me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember looking at the wall and I'm like, this was built in 900 AD. Like, and they
Right.
have the names of the priest of whatever, I can't remember the name of the church, but like every single one all the way through, like, well, look, that was this plague and that was the downfall of this country and that was this. Here's World War I and II and this place is still here. Holy cow, this is old.
It's humbling. It's humbling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
What? So,
very cool.
Good.
All right. Well, this has been a blast. This has been great. So-
guys, thank you so much for having me
yeah.
out, and you guys are amazing, man. I appreciate this.
we appreciate the little ego boost with that.
Yeah,
We'll
right.
take that coming from you. This is
You
great.
guys are amazing. I love you guys.
We've got one
That'll be our
fan.
merch. That'll be on our merch. Neil Zaza says we're amazing. What
I
about
love you guys. So,
all
Of course.
there?
all right.
If you want to get back on when your record comes out, of course, let us know.
Yeah, totally.
Happy
That
to
would be
promote
awesome.
it.
Thank you.
So,
That'd be awesome. Let's plan on that then for
so
sure.
just for the deets of the gig, again, it's Thursday at the
night stage
the
at
night
7:30.
at 7:30, and that's in Akron, Ohio. So
Yeah, and night stage is literally right next to Akron Civic to the right.
Oh, that's cool. Very
Nice.
cool. Awesome.
So we'll be rocking it out. So
Excellent, man.
Killing.
all
Yeah,
right,
so check
guys,
out
thank you
Neil,
so
buy
much.
all of his albums.
Yep.
Um,
Buy them. Don't
buy
stream
his
them.
videos, call him, study with him, whatever.
Yeah.
Throw
Pay him to
money at
produce
me.
your album, whatever.
Yes. Come on, man. I need you guys.
Awesome. All right, Neil.
All right,
Thank you
man.
very
Thank you
much.
guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, man.
All right.
We'll see ya.
Thanks.
Bye bye.